These are 10 beliefs that I wanted to break down to create a level of internal peace that I wasn't getting before because of the rigid demands, shoulds, and musts I held on conditional self, life, and other acceptance. Before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button, comment down below. I love seeing interaction in the comments. I answer as many comments as I can. And if you're interested in our coaching or webinar services, please email info@ocdrecovery.com and we will get back to you in a timely manner. So I have a piece of paper in front of me. I just got done writing this and I spent a little bit longer than I usually do writing the outline because I really wanted to think about 10 beliefs that affected me very negatively in an emotional and behavioral outcome. Because emotions, behaviors, and thinking are all intertwined. If you behave a certain way, it will instill a belief system and vice versa. If you feel a certain way, people usually act on those beliefs and vice versa. So these are 10 beliefs that I needed to work on. And the very first one is this: I must sleep well. Well, actually, before I go into the beliefs, I want to say this. A lot of these, from a preference standpoint, have a lot of great benefits, right? I would prefer to sleep well. Getting good sleep, uninterrupted sleep is great. You feel a little bit better the next day. Maybe you might be able to focus a little bit better, make less mistakes. But these, again, are just preferences. There's no universal principle stating that we must have these. And the stronger that we put a must on these, the stronger that we think we absolutely need these to survive, the more potential there is for negative, unhealthy emotions and behaviors, compulsive behaviors, avoidance behaviors, and so forth. So again, the first one is I must sleep well. Now, unfortunately, we have a lot of very black and white information surrounding sleep nowadays. We work with a girl named Beth. Her Instagram handle is the Holistic Sleep Coach, with periods in between each word. And she said something that was so good. She said, the sleep industry has built a multi-billion-dollar industry convincing people that if they don't get good sleep, their life will be ruined. But all we have to do is look back in time and go to World War I or World War II, Vietnam, and many areas where people were severely sleep deprived. And then after they left the war, they lived till they were 90 years old. A lot of them, unfortunately, had PTSD, where they were being woken up all night long with panic attacks and other sorts of extreme emotional disturbances, and they lived to ripe old age. Now, a lot of people will ask me, isn't that reassurance? No, because that is a real reality of what people go through and live. So getting good sleep is important. It's not 100% necessary in order to function. Now, the reason why this is so important to cover is because we've built this ideology based around this one word, and it's a word that I particularly don't use. And I've done a cost-benefit analysis on this word. I look at what's the benefit of using this word, and what's the detriments of using this word. And the detriments of using this word far outweigh the benefits of using this word, in my opinion. And that word is optimal. There is no such thing as optimal, just like there's no such thing as normal. What's normal to people now was not normal to people 100 years ago. What's optimal to people now was not optimal to people 300 years ago. Optimal, normal, these verbiages are always changing. They're morphing from societal standards and belief and current research and literature. And what we think is optimal now, because of the age of the internet and all the information we have, could be really negative on people living this perfectionistic lifestyle. So, as I always tell people, they always say to me, oh, you always say that sleep isn't important. That's not true. Sleep is very important. I sleep better in a colder room. I use a weighted blanket. I use a fan. I like white noise. But if I never had any of those things, I wouldn't particularly like it, but it wouldn't disturb me to extreme insomnia type fears, et cetera, et cetera. It's the demand and the should that you put on that that's holding you back. So the second one is, I must perform well at work, aka conditional self-acceptance. Now, there's many different, in this particular video, I'm just going to break down the beliefs. I'm not going to go into compulsions and avoidance behaviors. I'll throw them in there because there are different compulsions and avoidance behaviors for every single one of those. I could speak about each one of these topics on a separate webinar. Like point number 6 is I must look amazing. We're going to spend some time on that one. So I must perform well at work. Now, a lot of us, what happens is, I'll use me for an example. When I became chronically latched with OCD, I was just graduating grad school. I was about to go out into the workforce and I was thinking, oh my gosh, This is going to ruin my life. And then what humans do is, it's a natural reaction. It's an understandable reaction, as Jay said in her previous videos, that suffering with OCD is very difficult. So it's understandable why people think there's no way I can get around this fear. There's no way I can accept this discomfort. But you can in time, because we've all done it. So it just took a couple of years. But the best thing to do is go to work. Avoiding work, leaving work early, not going in at all, calling out too much are major compulsions and avoidance behaviors when it comes to work. Accepting the fact that humans are fallible and will make mistakes. Obviously, every industry has their own irrational belief systems. I work with many medical doctors, PhDs of psychiatry and psychology, people who are attorneys, high-end attorneys, accountants. And what I notice is that they've made a lot of these people believe that if they make a mistake that they're a horrible person. But humans make mistakes, especially someone who's a surgeon. Maybe you're working an overnighter and you got called in for a trauma and you make a mistake and the person passes away on the table. That's a very unfortunate scenario, but that happens. Humans are fallible and they make many more mistakes throughout their life than they don't make mistakes. This is why there's no such thing as perfection. And task perfection, trying to strive for that, can have some benefits, but if you do it too much, people attach the task to the identity, and that becomes a problem. These are all the basics of Stoicism and RBT that I had to practice for a long time. The third one is others must respect me. Now, I just made a post in the Facebook group talking about this. Let me finish the rest of this coffee real quick. Whoa. Others must respect me, but respect is a man-made concept. Respect, what people think is respect today is much different than what people thought was respect in the 60s. Especially during the civil rights era, definitely different than the 1800s, definitely different during the high-end religious periods of Rome and, 1,500 years ago, 2,000 years ago. Respect is always changing and morphing to the culture and the belief systems of the current population. So getting respect from people is great. It makes you feel nice. It gives you the ability to perform a little bit better at work because it kind of boosts you up in that recognition. And there are great benefits to being respected, maybe better jobs, better partners, et cetera, who have better qualities, better families, but it's not a necessity for life. So it would be great if people were to respect us. This is what I really need to work on. I always say, if you were to go to a prison and talk to people that were on death row, and we're not talking about sociopaths and psychopaths and all that. We're talking about people, gang members who have done things based off of that they needed other people to respect them. They really got themselves into trouble because of this belief system. So when you're trying to break down needing to be respected, changing the belief system, and then wearing the uncomfortable sensations that come along with the belief that you need to be respected. And that's really, really, really important. So the fourth one, which ties directly into this one, that's why I put them back to back, is you must listen to me. Now, when you go on social media and someone has a big platform and they make a post about something you disagree with, posting on that post that you disagree, like someone that has 10 million followers, is a useless endeavor. It makes you feel heard, but it actually does nothing. Again, if you look at the cost-benefit analysis, how many people have wrote on a Facebook post in a disagreeing fashion? Again, you could disagree with people, but with a belief system that they must hear you, they completely forget about you in 5 minutes because they have so many people commenting. It's a total waste. And it's understandable, but the reason why people do it because it makes them feel propped up in this conditional self-acceptance way that doesn't need to happen. This doesn't mean you can't comment on people's posts. It's the idea behind it. It's the why of why you're doing it. And a lot of people are doing it because they think that people must listen to me. Nobody needs to listen to us. It's nice to be listened to. It's nice to be heard. But it's not absolutely necessary. And the more that we think it's necessary, the more we get ourselves into trouble. And that's super, super key. Again, all of these beliefs are the ones that I had to break down. These are all very personal to me, especially the next two coming up. So point number 5 is I must have a plan and I must know if I'll recover. Something that many people hear me say in our webinars and in private one-on-one coaching is OCD recovery comes when you don't need OCD recovery. What does that mean? Of course I need OCD recovery. Well, you don't. You don't need OCD recovery. Thousands of years of people only are recovering recently. They suffered all the way up until they die with OCD, and they lived to a ripe old age, chronically stuck with OCD. A lot of them probably reverted to alcohol, drugs, or other compulsive behaviors to escape the discomfort, but they did live. It will not kill you in the way that you imagine. So getting comfortable with not having a blueprint or a plan. The amount of people that come in and they say to me, again, it's understandable because life works in this fashion. Life works very much in plans and strict routines. So like, let me give you an example, right? Football season is the football in America, not soccer. Football season is 16 games. A baseball season is X amount of games. You graduate undergrad in 4 years. You graduate high school in 4 years. Takes 6 months on average for a broken leg to heal, et cetera, et cetera. Where OCD has none of that. A large part of it comes from the unknown and the uncertainty. So not needing a plan will take some time because a lot of people don't like to feel confused. So this is something I don't see talked about a lot, and it's something that I personally went with. Confusion brings a feeling that perpetuates reassurance seeking and compulsive behaviors. I'll say that again. Confusion brings a feeling confused. It's a feeling of uncertainty that feels so real, which perpetuates compulsions, reassurance seeking. So being able to feel confused is one of the best things you could do for yourself when you're going through OCD and anxiety recovery. Number 6, this one was a big one for me, very big. I must look amazing. And I will spend a little bit of time on this with the compulsive behaviors and avoidance behaviors. Avoidance behaviors, not wearing certain clothes, not posting a photo one time after you take it. Social media, if not used properly, is a breeding ground for conditional self-acceptance for non-OCD sufferers and sufferers alike. It's constant. It's like trying to fill up a glass of water that has no bottom of the cup. You're just constantly pouring in. You constantly have to replenish that. This doesn't mean you don't want to look good. It doesn't mean you don't want to have a nice body or you want to feel good. It's just that you've realized that those things aren't absolutely necessary for you to live a happy and content life. And also remember, happiness is fleeting. If it wasn't fleeting, then people wouldn't need to prove themselves on social media by the clothes they wear, the heavy makeup they wear. Again, nothing wrong with wearing makeup. I'm just using this as an example. The filters, the lighting, the perfect quotes, etc., etc. You have to be careful with social media. You do not have to post pictures of your food. You don't have to post pictures of your vacation. I know people think I need to. I have to remember it. You do not need to do that. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But most people are doing it from a conditional background. I know this because I see it all the time, how I work with people. My entire job is to look at your beliefs, get inside those beliefs, show you the irrationalities that I went through and what I see, to break those down, to give you a level of an internal peace that you might be able to have long-term down the road by changing your behaviors and your belief system. That's very key. Point number 7. This is another big problem with social media, TED Talks, YouTube videos, etc. I must live forever, I must stay safe, and I must feel safe. A life without risk is not a life worth living. I'm going to say that for me. A life without risk is a life not worth living. You are dying. From the moment you're born, you're dying. It's a great quote by Reinhold Messner, which is a world-renowned mountaineer. He said, and he's not the first person to say that, but from the moment you were born, you are literally dying. From the very moment you were born, in a philosophical sense. Risk is everything in life. A proper risk, right? Sometimes bigger risk than others, but you're going to have to take the risk about maybe I won't recover, but that doesn't mean I don't put the work in. Safety is an illusion. I get a lot of kickback on this. No, it's not. Safety is not an illusion. The reason, yes, are there certain activities to perpetuate a feeling of safety? But many people who think they're driving down the road in a minivan with nice seats with their family think they're safe till someone blows through the red light, hits your car, and your whole entire family explodes and dies. This happens all the time. There was a really sad case that I watched the videos in California of a 8.5-month pregnant mother and her boyfriend and their 1-year-old son in the back in California. Some of you may have heard about this story not that long ago. And the woman, the video looks fake because she's going so fast. They weren't thinking in that moment that they're about to die. They were driving, they felt safe, they were on their way to their OBGYN appointment. And the woman ran that stop sign, that red light, hit them at 90 miles an hour, which is like 130 kilometers an hour, and the car exploded on impact and everyone died. They thought they were safe. Yes, certain things you can create an illusion of safety to make you feel safe, but the idea of safety is not real in the way you imagine. There was just a terrible accident at an air show in Dallas, Texas yesterday. Rob sent me the video. I didn't even know about it. I saw it this morning. When those people were in that air show, they probably thought they were safe until the planes collided and exploded. These are, people think they're safe until the next day. They feel weird. They go to the doctor. They're diagnosed with pancreatic cancer like my dad. The idea of safety isn't as real as you make it out. It's just not real in general, but it gives us a feeling of safety that we really like. Okay, number 8, I must have money. Now, again, there are a lot of compulsive and avoidance behaviors. I'll actually keep this if you'd like. I'll keep this and I'm going to go through this list again. I'm just going to go about avoidance. I'll go through the behavior aspect. Let's do that a part 2 of this video. But this is just about the belief, right? So breaking down, you must have money. So think about your worst case scenario. Your business goes under, you go bankrupt. When I was building my business, I worked 4 jobs. Restaurant, drove food around. I was very scared all the time I would go broke. It's a common fear. If I went back to where I was, I could still have my necessities. I'd have my bed, I'd have my wife, I'd have my dogs. Even if we lost our house, we'd figure something out. We have many things to be fortunate about where I live, my lifestyle type stuff. And it's understandable why people are so afraid of not having money. But if you look at your worst case scenario, and by the way, all 10 of these beliefs, the way you get underneath that, is looking at your worst case scenario, breaking them down, moving towards them slowly, bringing down, of course, those behaviors and compulsions, and realizing that agreement doesn't mean acceptance. This is so important when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery, and just changing your belief systems. These tools are tools for life. These books were not made for OCD sufferers. They are greatly beneficial, but they weren't made for OCD sufferers. Number 9, life should be fair. Now, this is very easy to break down in theory, much harder to actually feel and experience. But you have to look at Auschwitz, World War I, World War II, Genghis Khan, looking at history. History is unforgiving. Nature is unforgiving. Pompeii, typhoons, crazy F5 tornadoes here in America, forest fires. Life just isn't fair, and it's very unpredictable. It's understandable why we think life should be fair, but I can bring up millions of examples, if I want to, a million examples of why life isn't inherently fair. So again, preferring fairness is great. If you prefer fairness and approach someone like a situation with someone at work, for an example, where you deem that they were treating you unfairly, if you approach that from a level of unconditional other acceptance and unconditional life acceptance, more than likely you're going to be able to achieve your outcome and problem solve a little bit better if you came with animosity, rage, and stuff like that. And number 10, I must feel good in order to do X, Y, Z. This was a big belief I struggled with. I thought in order to live a happy life, I needed to feel a certain way. Motivation, happiness, inspiration, these are feelings that are fleeting. The reason why discipline does come with a feeling, but in my opinion, discipline comes with a longer lasting, delayed gratification feeling. Instant gratification, which we all will do at some point in our life. We all go into instant gratification. Nobody is 100% no instant gratification unless you're some Buddhist monk, but I still could imagine there is some instant gratification in their mind. You will more than likely have a longer outcome, better outcome, and the way it makes you feel, almost in a sense of accomplishment. Because these words that we say, discipline, happiness, inspiration, confusion, depression, they all come with feelings that we rate as good or bad. And the problem is we attach them to ourselves. So thank you so much for watching this video. This was a really good video. These are beliefs that really kept me really stuck, and I had to get underneath each of these in different ways. I couldn't force any of these. I will keep this right here. I will do a part 2 of this, 10 beliefs that will cause problems from a behavioral standpoint, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much again. Hope to see some of you at the webinars. A lot of great webinars coming up. Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. UK time. Info@ocdrecovery.com if you want more information, and see you guys around. Have a good one, everyone.